The fluorescents buzz like insects over concrete. Your radio hisses between words. Weekend overnight means fewer bodies, longer shadows, and an inmate count that never matches the paperwork. You keep your keys on a short chain. You keep your back off the bars. This is your life, level by level, inside a 1980s prison riot. Act 1: The calm before the storm. Routine shift, hairline fractures in the order you're paid to enforce. You clock in under a yellowed wall calendar and a cigarette-stained bulletin board. The unit smells like bleach, instant coffee, and sweat trapped in cinder block. Count at 2,200. Another at midnight. You walk the tier with a flashlight that eats D-cell batteries and a key ring heavy enough to bruise your thigh. It's weekend overnight. You're the only guard assigned to this wing, backed by a control booth 2 corridors away. You break up small things. A shove over a phone call. A blanket traded for a pack of Winstons. You log it anyway: time, cell number, names, because paper is the only thing that still obeys. Then you see it. Groups bigger than normal, 3, 5, 8 men standing too close, talking without laughing. You tell yourself it's cards. You tell yourself it's dope. You tell yourself it's just boredom. A lifer near the shower line catches your eye and flicks 2 fingers down, subtle as a prayer. Trouble. Do you call it in and light the fuse, or keep walking and pretend the air isn't turning to gasoline? Act 2: The riot erupts. Coordinated violence, failing systems, and survival by inches. It starts with a sound you can't place: metal on metal, then a roar. The tier explodes. A mop bucket flies. A man goes down hard, face first, and the crowd folds over him like water. Your radio squeals, a half sentence swallowed by static. Somewhere, an alarm begins and never finishes a full cycle. You sprint for the gate and your key slips once, twice, fingers slick. Behind you, boots pound concrete. Someone yells, "Take it," like it's a drill. A fire blooms in a trash can: paper, plastic, a ribbon of black smoke clawing the ceiling. The lights flicker as if the building is blinking. You slam a door, throw the deadbolt, and wedge your baton through the handle because locks fail when people decide they should. You tell yourself the perimeter will hold. You tell yourself the response team is minutes out. You tell yourself your training matters here. Over the radio. 2 officers unaccounted for. A scream cuts through, then nothing. In the glass of the secure wing window, you catch your own face wide-eyed, small, and realize the prison isn't holding them anymore. It's holding you. Act 3: A desperate alliance. Protection offered by the people you're trained to control. The corridor is dim, lit by emergency bulbs and orange firelight licking under door seams. You move slow, listening for the change in sound: running feet, chanting, the wet slap of fists on flesh. Your belt feels heavier now, like every tool is an accusation. A voice stops you from the shadows. Not a shout, a calm instruction. 3 inmates step out, hands visible, faces smeared with soot. One of them knows your last name. Another points at your keys and then at the smoke-choked stairwell like he's directing traffic. "Stay with us," he says, "or you're done." You feel the shape of the deal before you speak. You trade authority for oxygen. You trade pride for a path. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself it's strategy. You tell yourself you'll make it right later. They move with disciplined single file, quick checks at corners, a whispered map of blind spots. The busted camera by laundry, the loose panel near the infirmary, the door that sticks unless you lift. You keep waiting for the knife in your ribs. Instead, you get something worse: protection that works. And every step you take beside them turns your uniform into a costume you can't take off. The noise outside starts to change: less frenzy, more shape. Spotlights will find the yard. Negotiators will want names. And your secret deal will become a target from both sides. Act 4: The reckoning. The riot takes shape, and your alliance becomes a liability. The chanting thins out into directions. The riot stops being a wave and starts being a map. You hear it in the pauses: men posted at doors, someone calling out counts, a metal pipe tapped twice like a signal. Your escorts pull you into the old program room where the carpet squares are torn and the folding chairs are stacked like barricades. Smoke sneaks in anyway. One inmate wipes his hands on a state-issued towel and tells you the yard gate's chained from the inside. Another points at your radio and shakes his head. Dead battery, dead help. You start doing math with people instead of policy. If CERT comes through Sally Port A, the tier floods. If they gas the wing, the vents pull it straight into infirmary. You tell yourself you're just observing. You tell yourself you're buying time. You tell yourself you're keeping bodies off the floor. Then a runner bursts in. 2 inmates found an officer in the laundry corridor. Alive. Tied up. They look at you like you're the vote that decides whether he stays breathing, and you realize your badge has turned into a bargaining chip with your name on it. Act 5. Facing the consequences. Rescue arrives, and both sides decide what you are to them. The first canister pops with a flat cough, like a fist into a pillow. White smoke rolls low, hugging the floor. Your eyes sting instantly. Your throat clamps shut, a dry panic that feels older than thought. Your escorts move fast, practiced shirts over mouths, one hand on the wall, the other guiding you by the elbow. Somewhere a megaphone booms, words smeared by distance, get down. Hands visible. Boots hammer the corridor in a rhythm you recognize from training videos, only louder in real concrete. You hit a junction and see flashlight cones slicing through haze. Helmets, shields, plexiglass faces with no expression behind them. An officer spots you and the second of recognition is worse than any punch. You tell yourself they'll understand. You tell yourself the report will explain it. You tell yourself survival is its own evidence. A shield slams an inmate into the wall. Zip ties bite wrists. Someone yanks your keys like they're contraband. They drag you past a line of prone bodies, and the only thing anyone asks you is, "Where the hell have you been?" Like location is guilt. Act 6. A new normal. After the smoke clears, you keep living with what kept you alive. Morning comes gray through barred windows, a weak light that makes the soot look permanent. The yard is a grid of kneeling men and floodlights, and the air tastes like pepper and wet concrete. You sit on a curb near the admin entrance with a paper cup of burnt coffee shaking in your hand. Inside, they process the night into forms. Incident packets, use of force statements, a medical log with times written in block letters. You hand over your radio, your baton, your key ring inventory like you're checking out of your own life. A lieutenant circles words in your statement with a red pen and doesn't look up when he says, "You were seen with them." You learn names you didn't want. The officer found tied up survived, another didn't. You tell yourself you chose the least bad option. You tell yourself you stayed alive to be useful. You tell yourself you can scrub the smoke out of your uniform. But the smell lives under the fabric, deep as habit. Order returns the way a lock clicks clean, final, and indifferent to what your hands did to make it happen. There's no medal for the nights you endure, only paperwork and a quiet chair under buzzing lights. You go back to the tier because the schedule says you do. You keep your keys on a short chain. You keep your back off the bars. And you carry one private fact: survival is a kind of testimony, even when nobody wants to hear it.